All right, let's jump into this. I
Okay.
first off, I have to say, I was looking over some of the work you've done, and I laughed to myself because I'm in my mid 40s, and my sister saw the original old school Hellraiser, and I'm looking, going, dang nabbit, you did a Hellraiser.
Yes, I did. That was like I want to say at the beginning of my career. That's hilarious.
And like I said, old school. My sisters are like in their late 50s.
Yeah.
So it's like, how was it to do like an old school, but like a latter day Hellraiser?
Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoyed the what I remember because I've been acting for about 15 years now. I started when I was 16 years old, and so I booked that when I was 18, right out of high school into college, and I didn't even audition for that. They needed someone who at the very end of the film, basically to prolong the Hellraiser story, they needed two like Mormon looking boys, basically, in the sense like we were older teens, and
Uh-huh.
they needed two Mormon looking boys for that scene. So I'm in the scene at the very end when we knock on the door and we get hypnotized and we go into the house where the box is and Hellraiser and things along those lines. So it's basically we get fed on, and it's kind of assumed that we die, and that the whole story just continues again and again and again.
You
Yeah.
and I did not realize, God, so you've been doing it for this long. So has it
Yeah.
been something that you've always wanted to do, acting?
Yeah. So I've always been the type of guy who has always been like, look at me, look at me, the center of the party. Even when I was a kid, I was always very much like, I want everyone to look at me. And so enjoy I enjoyed that sense of everything. So when I got into my sophomore year of high school, I basically was like, "Ooh, is this something that I could do?" And I grew up in Oklahoma City, so I was like, "Is this something that I could do? Is this something that I would enjoy doing?" And so I went and auditioned for my school's play at the time, and then also was auditioning for community theater as well. And I started in that realm and just really had a blast. I had so much fun. My senior year in high school was my most theater booking year.
Uh,
I booked two community theater plays, and then I did two plays at school. And then I was even in the musical at the school, which between you and I can't sing like at all. So,
okay.
um, um, so I was the only character in South Pacific who only had lines, but I could dance and like act at the time. So I basically was like, this is perfect. I don't have to sing. And so we ended up I ended up going to college afterward and going into a theater performance major. And then as I was going into that theater performance major, I got my very first agent in Oklahoma. Their name was Switzer Talent Agency. And then I broke into the South Central market, which is Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Louisiana and Arkansas. And so I really started getting into that market and understanding like I have to, there were days I wouldn't show up to my college class because I would be driving down to Dallas to do a live audition for a movie or a television show or a commercial. And so I really started getting into the groove of things when I got into college. Then a lot of personal stuff happened in my life that I went through. And so I lost my grant and a bunch of things for college to help me pay for college. So then I dropped out and had to go and become an adult a lot faster than I was planning to, which was great for me. But I ended up at Acts Academy, and that was one of my first like acting on camera classes I've ever taken. And
Wow.
then I just went from there, and I was able to. My very first callback was for a movie called Rudderless, with William H. Macy directing, and Selena Gomez was in it, Felicity Huffman, Billy
Wow.
Crudup. Like, so that was one of my very first like callbacks I've ever gotten. And then I just continued moving forward. And then in 2016, I moved to Atlanta, went to a bigger market,
Mhm.
and did the Atlanta market for 10 years. And then I went back and forth starting in 2021, back from LA to Atlanta, LA to Atlanta, and doing the bicoastal.
Wow. And that's incredible. I mean, you get put on a movie with so much talent. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
wow. That is incredible. Well, let's talk because I
Mm-hmm.
was talking to Brenton the other day for the little boy who went missing.
Yep.
It looks so good. So I want you to dive into your character and your part in this one because from what he told me, it seemed like you guys had a pretty good, a good time making this one.
Yes, we did. Most of my scenes are with Brenton, and I love that man. I think he's awesome. We had so much fun filming our scenes, and he was just a really really good scene partner to have in the middle of like filming. And this movie was like 16-hour days. We would film for a long time, and the shoot schedule was 14 days. So we were cranking out the scenes. My character is Rex, and he is a grieving father who has lost his boy, and he wants to find his boy. And he's also his wife has died, and basically he is trying to take the grief and everything he has from losing his wife into trying to find his son, and he can't find his son. So he goes on um he goes on like a talk show, and he's basically like, please help me find my son. And that's that's Rex in a nutshell. He's a grieving father.
But you know what, buddy? I mean, you're talking. I mean, obviously, when you hear of a Lifetime movie, automatically you know it's going to be intense on emotion. You know it's going to be intense on the dialogue. You know it's
For
going to
sure.
have full on intensity. But just by what you said to me, like that had to be a lot for you personally to take on to dive in and get really deep in those emotions. Wow,
Yeah.
it really had to
I
be.
so me as a performer, I've done, obviously, throughout the years of me acting and stuff like that. I've done a lot of acting classes, and also just a lot of mental health work. And I, like you said, it's very intense for an actor to go to those mind spaces and also stay in those mind spaces for a 16-hour shoot day. Like, you have to understand um, where you are emotionally, where Jace is emotionally, and versus where the character is emotionally. So a lot of my training is a lot of imaginary work. So I build the world of the character and understand where the character is, all the way down to like improving scenes that aren't even in the script. They're just kind of hinted at. So like there are moments with my wife that I improved and completely wrote down a whole new scene that I could improv with my wife. And then like us having an argument one day, us having, us being in love with one another, and us like going to the park and being with our boy and our son. And so I do a lot of imaginary work that
Hmm.
helps protect me and my mental sanity, Jace, that I can play in the world of the character and trust that my body, my emotional level, my character analysis is all there when I go to set and I'm ready to work. And I cannot tell you how many times I've done that. And I show up to set probably not having my lines memorized, and I get right on camera and I'm hitting every line perfectly. And it's just this imaginary world I've built for him. So my lines and the dialogue that I'm saying just makes sense for him to say that in this moment. So it's easy to attach when I've already have this world built. It's easy to attach all of that to me. And then I'm also just an incredibly selfless human. I do a lot of like work, like volunteering work. I also love like helping other actors. I do consulting sessions for the business side of this. So it's very like I'm a very selfless human. So my body and who I am, I can put aside and be like, Rex needs to come into my body so I can embody him and embody his truth and his story and his grieving, and why is he grieving, when did he start grieving, how many hours a night is he sleeping, like all of that goes into my brain when I get into a character or a role.
Wow. I mean, you're talking and I'm like, my chills are having chills because I mean, to do, and that's the part that people don't realize. A lot of people, us, the fans that watch these movies, especially on Lifetime, one, we don't understand that you guys are in an extremely tight schedule to get
Yes, yes.
to get these done. I mean, we see the beautiful final. We're like, oh yeah, they have like a month, 2 months. No, it's like 14, 16 days, and you have to be on target with these lines.
Hmm.
Okay? And I think it's just truly pat yourself on the back for that because to do it in that short amount of time, to get yourself channeled into those emotions, and then ultimately still keep yourself
Hmm.
together. That's
Hmm.
amazing.
i I just it's all of my training has taught me, and then just all my mental health work too, just like reading a lot of psychology books, therapy, like a lot of things that just make me who I am, and me being comfortable with who I am down to my core, that it gives room and leeway into the craft and how I can look at the craft and how I look at my character breakdowns and my character breakdowns on what I'm playing and why it's so important. So when you have 16-hour days and you have to do 10 takes of you just bawling your eyes out, or getting so angry you're seeing white light because you're so angry in a scene, or you have to convey this type of, grief of losing a son and plus losing your wife as well. It's just, I have to be able to imagine that world and put myself in that imaginary world and always know that I can come back and be safe when it's Jace.
Now, did you know, like when you originally went for this, did you know of the part that you were going for, or did they kind
Yes,
of?
yeah. I auditioned for Rex. That was the audition that I did. I also auditioned for Britain's part too. But looking back, like looking at who got cast in this, it wouldn't have made sense for me to play Britain's part, like at all.
Mhm.
But it makes sense for me to play Rex. Like, Rex is, even my audition for Rex, like it was honestly a no brainer. It was one of those like I sent it in. I also little caveat moment, and then I'll get right back into what I was just about to say.
Sure.
The I get a lot of auditions through the week. Like my team, my agent's team, my agency, and my agent and my manager are just some of the best that I've ever had. So
Mm.
I get a lot of auditions through the week, and I'm very fortunate as an actor to have that and say that. And so um I did 3 auditions, the same self tape. I did 3 auditions back to back, and Rex was one of them. So I had to go from Rex, who's grieving father, to being happy selling this. Um, uh, it was a yogurt brand in a commercial audition to auditioning for a comedy, and
Oy.
I booked both those. I booked Rex and the comedy at the same time. They just filmed in different times. So I was able to do both of them, but I booked both of those back to back. And then it just always makes me giggle like what mental state I was in for the self tape for Rex versus the comedy. And it's just actors don't get enough credit for like the work they put up and send in. So I immediately, when I sent in those auditions, I was like, I'm good. I'm done. I need to move on. I'm good. And then the casting director reached out to me and basically was like, we want to put you on first avail. And what that means is first availability, like you're our main choice. We just need to make sure you're available for the shoot dates. And do you agree to these terms and things along those lines? The pay rate, like everything. And then I said, yes, I'm available. I would love to do it and stuff. And then, um, like 2 hours later, I booked the role and I was like, this is amazing. And the director and casting director both were like, you are our number one choice for X. We were blown away by your audition. We were blown away about the work that you do for your audition and things along those lines. But my whole point why I said all that is once I upload the audition, it's just kind of keeping like doing that and then walking away and moving on to the next one and the next one and stuff like that. Because if I continued thinking along those lines of, oh, I'm going to book this one, I'm going to book this one, and then it doesn't come, it's just too much heartache. So it's I the way I look at things is on a very logical brain wave. So I'm very left brained when it comes to just the business end of it. And then I'm very right brain leaned where I let my imagination just take over and I have so much fun doing that. And I need to be able to have that from the start to the audition, all the way to booking the role, all the way to ending filming.
I
And
got
yeah,
I gotcha. I mean, see, that's the whole thing, and I'm the same way. At least I would be the same way because if I stood there and sat on, oh my God, did I do this right? Did I do A, B, and C? Did I miss something?
mm-hmm,
You got the right thought process. You do
mm-hmm,
it, boom, gone. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. I don't, and I move on to the next.
yeah, yeah.
I have to say for this one, did you? Was there, I don't want to say a takeaway, but a lesson that you learned about yourself with bringing Rex to life for this movie?
The freedom I'm allowed to have and the freedom that I'm allowed to like convey by playing the character and
Mhm.
how I was able to really go on the roller coaster of who Rex is. I took away from that like this was acting boot camp 101 basically,
Mm.
like how do you go on set, how do you convince and stay in that character in your choices and everything and make sure your choices are 100% right. And even having the director come over to you and being like, hey, we're not, that's, can you do this instead, and then reverting as fast as possible. and taking that note and just so what I took away to answer your question, to what I took away from that was the freedom that I could have with how I play a character on set.
And see, I love it too when I hear from a lot of you guys how certain directors will be like, okay, can we do it this
Mm-hmm.
way? But ultimately, they give you that freedom of being like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what we want, but can you just tweak it? And, that sort of thing, which I think is kind of cool on a
Mm-hmm.
shoot that's so short like that. And a movie's so emotional.
Yes. How I enjoy those type of situations is because the director, you're like the canvas when a director's using paint, right? This is a
Exactly.
great metaphor, right? So if they're like, "Hey, I need a red right here," I can be like, "Okay, do you need a maroon red? Do you need a more of a like a purple stylish red and stuff like that?" In my brain, how I look, and this is more my right brain leaning in. Um, I look at things in colors, and I've always been that way ever since I was little. I've always looked at things in colors, like why, like the color of a certain thing, a color of a script, or a color of when you go into a house and you see decorations and you see how colors are clashing, like how that forms into my emotional capability and what I think of those emotional capabilities. So I with Rex, there's obviously he's grieving, so there was a lot of like blacks and playing around with blacks, different shades of blacks. Same with different shades of whites and how empty white can be and how scary that actually can be, which is hilarious because white is bright, right? And we always think like bright colors, this is great. But it's always fun to be like, have the director come up to you and be like, what color are we choosing today? Like, ooh, I want to add a little bit of magenta in there, or I want to add a little bit of maroon in there, or something along those lines that I immediately just attach to. And I'm like, ooh, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. So because there can be situations where you get a direction where you just don't understand it. You know,
Yeah.
you're a human now at your core, right? You can only understand so much. So there's sometimes a connection can happen where I'm like, man, that was a really, really strong choice. And then the director comes up and they're like, I didn't like it. Give me something else. And you're like, what? That was my truth. But then they're on the other end being like, did you see all of that, Jace? Did you see all of how it didn't work in that last take? And I'm like, ooh, that's amazing. So then it makes my brain go, how can we make this work? I love the challenge
Mm,
of that. And like, how do I make the challenge happen? And we did a lot of that on this set.
really.
Yes.
I was saying to Brenton, I can't wait to see it. Now, like just the way you're explaining how you brought Rex to life. I'm like, well, dang it, why isn't it time to watch this movie yet? Because now I want to see because I think that I mean this is one of the biggest loves of what I do with talking to you guys is I love hearing the vulnerability of how it was for you guys to do and
Mm-hmm.
made this movie. And now hearing your standpoint, what Rex now I'm like, oh, what color is Rex gonna be in this one? Like I wanna see the emotional levels that are
Mm-hmm.
Rex.
Mm-hmm. And you'll get to. You'll get to throughout the entirety of the film.
Oh, buddy, you're making my brain go. Now I'm oh,
Well, good. That's awesome. That makes me happy. That's why I'm an actor. I want people to enjoy and experience and have an emotional reaction to it, whether it be happiness, sadness, whatever the case may be, that I can help make as an artist, make the audience feel something and feel like, oh, I really relate to him. I really relate to what's going on. Is like that's my dream as an actor to let my audience just feel what I'm feeling and relate to it and enjoy it on a another level.
All right. Now I know this is probably going to be hard, and I asked Brenton the same question for his character, but give us a scene or a moment that we as the viewers can look forward to. Could be your favorite scene or one of your
Mhm.
many favorite scenes with of Rex. A moment that we can be like, wow, that's what he was talking about.
You see, this is a bit harder with me because I don't want to give away too much. But there's a certain scene
You can do a
with,
roundabout.
yeah, with Marilla, who plays Lori in the
Mm,
film, which is hilarious because Marilla plays Lori, but the um Britain's love interest, her name's Lori in real life, and she plays like a different character name. But it's just
okay.
very funny for me to think about that. It
Wow.
was hilarious on set too. I would be like, "Hey, Lori," and then Marilla would turn around, and I'd be like, "No, no,
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 that's
no! I'm actually talking to the real Lori." So there's a scene with Marilla, and it is heart
emotional.
wrenching and very emotional. That's
Okay.
all, and that's all I'll give you.
Oh Lord. So we're gonna chalk this up to I'm gonna have need multiple tissue boxes. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Like
Absolutely.
now after I watch it, I'll be like, Jace, now I know what you're talking about. Now
Exactly.
I'm gonna have now I'm gonna have to buy more tissue. Dang it.
There's other really good scenes in there too that I really enjoyed, like the interview that Lori watches. Uh, Lori actress Lori watches, her
Hmm.
character watches. I really liked that scene. In filming that scene, and then when Lori and I's character meet on virtual, like a Zoom in the movie, that scene is really nice too.
Oh, Jace, I can't wait to see it now between you and Brenton telling me all of it. Now I'm like, all right, why can't
Yeah.
it just be March 27th already? I have to bring up because one of which you have such besides this one, and I told Brenton I'm doing a blast on all of my social media. I have my family basically DVRing it. If not, they're going to be watching it. But I have it because you did time on my one of another one of my favorites, Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
Oh
Um,
my God.
Chicago Fire was really fun, really, really fun. I booked that in the beginning of March in Chicago, and it was so cold. It was I I grew up in like cold weather. My dad was in the military, and so
Mm,
we moved a lot. And so like Oklahoma is really cold in the winter. Like it's like the plains, so it's very flat, and there's a lot of cold, just cold weather that comes through. Like we get inches of snow in Oklahoma and stuff. So I'm used to the cold, but the wind in Chicago, how cold that was, like ripped through me like my skin was paper. I was in the middle of my like Airbnb filming Chicago Fire, and there were days when I'd be in the Airbnb and I'd have the like heater on blast, and I still to my core was cold. And I was like, how is this happening right now? How is this happening? The set though, incredible. They treated me so well. They were so nice. I really enjoyed it. I think Taylor Kenny is lovely. He's just a great, great actor. And in my scene, it's very it was very complicated because there was four cameras going at once, but they weren't like up near us. We had
Mhm.
one that was like taking care of the mid shots. We had one up close camera. Then there was one over there, like very far away, taking care of like the wide shot. And then we had another mid cam shot on the other side. So we, our whole thing was very choreographed because we're basically making an arrest in the scene to the main guest star of the episode. And so we're arresting him, in the two main series regulars were Taylor Kenny and uh he plays the best friend, his best friend. He also works at the fire station too.
I know
Um
who you mean, and I can't think of his name right now.
I can't either. That's gonna drive me insane because he was so funny. He was hilarious, and he just was really good in the scene too. And just my entirety of that day filming on Chicago Fire was a blast. It was so much fun, and I'm still auditioning for Chicago PD and Chicago Med. So like I my agent's plan is like I want you on all three of these.
Yeah.
Um and I would love that obviously, but so I just had a blast filming Chicago Fire. That and Miss Governor. Miss Governor was
Yes.
my favorite set I've ever been on. And nothing against any of the other sets I've been on. I had so much fun playing in a single cam sitcom like that, where I got to be the most ridiculous human. I was just having a blast. I met some of my favorite people to this day. I still work with. I still talk to. We go and get coffee when they're in Atlanta or I'm in LA or something along those lines. We still like meet up. I had so much fun filming Miss Governor. I loved that set. And Terry Vaughn, she made the show, and
Mm-hmm.
it's there were three of them that made the show. It was Terry Vaughn, Lisa, Keisha Lance Bottoms. I was about to say Leisha, Keisha Lance Bottoms, who was the former mayor of Atlanta, and then I'm forgetting the third showrunner's name, but it was the three of them, and they made Miss Governor. And I got so close with one of the series regulars. And then Terry Vaughn has always been very nice to me, and
Yeah.
we have major communication with each other. I love her to death. She's, I think, brilliant. I think she kills in multicam sitcom and single cam sitcom. She just is brilliant what she does. And then my other scene partners in there. I had so much fun on that set. And Chicago Fire was a blast. Sisters was a blast too. It's just very hectic.
Mm.
That was filmed with four cameras at once too. And we just go through scenes like this. Um, and then I produced, wrote, and made two short films, and
Oh.
one of them was like a baby to me that I started writing in 2018, and I filmed it in 2024, and it did its whole festival run in 2025, and then it still is. I've submitted it to about three or four more festivals for this year, and I'll find out soon if they got it. It got in, and then I also wrote a new short that I really want to get made, and it would be a like quite literally a piece of art to my heart if I get this one made.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
I'll
same.
say, I'll, I'll say this. I have no question that they will come to fruition. It's just destiny and connecting the right time. And when you do have it, or the
Mm-hmm.
information and it's ready to roll, send it my way, and I will help you with promoting it. That's for sure.
Awesome, Donna. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Congrats, my friend. As I told Brenton, I am so freaking excited to see this one. I mean, now meeting you, now ready. I'm gotta go get more Kleenex well, before I watch this one, especially with the emotional scene that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, but really, I'm thank you so much for taking the time, you know, telling us all a little bit about Rex and getting to know you more. I mean, you're incredible. And, congrats on everything.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome, honey. And like I told Brenton, when you have a new thing coming up, I always say this to everybody, this is not our last time to chat. I'm always here. When you come, this is always an open invitation. And I would love to have you back on when you have something else new in the works.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
You have a good night, Jace. You take care.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.